In this haunting collection of 3 true ghost stories, individuals recount their experiences with the paranormal, from a couple's terrifying encounters with malevolent spirits in their new apartment, to a babysitter's chilling discovery of a lurking spectral child, and a widow's emotional final goodbye with her deceased husband. Apartment apparitions. After moving into their new apartment in February 2022, Ashley and her partner were plagued by a relentless and terrifying presence. It began with sounds as if furniture was being dragged across the floor in an above unit. This was even though their apartment was on the top floor. Then came the hammering thuds from the living room as they slept, shaking the walls at 4 a.m, when Ashley, her partner and young daughter were the only ones home. In the kitchen, the lights began to repeatedly flick off and on at the switch, only in the kitchen, nowhere else. Ashley's daughter started going to the stairwell, staring down the vacant hallway as if watching someone unseen. Disembodied voices could be heard as well. A man and a woman speaking in urgent whispers just out of earshot. One afternoon, 3 distinct knocks echoed through the apartment. Ashley hesitantly knocked back. The thumping repeated, followed by the murmur of a man and woman talking and what sounded like a baby crying. On another occasion, Ashley froze in terror, hearing a woman's eerie humming coming from an empty bedroom, and on another, strange ethereal lights flickered outside the windows before blinking out of existence. Early one morning at around 5 a.m, Ashley was walking to the bathroom when the figure of a man darted up the stairs, disappearing halfway up. A black mist with smoke-like tendrils were also seen manifesting on the ceiling before dissipating. In another horrifying incident, Ashley felt the sensation of a male presence climbing into bed with her, the weight of it pressing down, leaving her paralysed. Handprints and strange indecipherable scribbles also appeared on the walls. Toys moved on their own, as if kicked by an unseen force. Even on the first day they moved in, Ashley heard what sounded like TV cords shifting behind the entertainment centre, but found nothing out of the ordinary when she went to investigate. Down in the building's storage area, Ashley heard an eerie whispering, almost a whistling sound, identical to noises she had heard on the staircase outside the apartment. Unexplained crashes would also emanate from their windowless bathroom. Not wanting to be penalised for breaking their lease agreement, the family endured these events for a full year before finally relocating. Babysitting a ghost. When Rachel was just 13 years old, she began babysitting a sweet little girl named Emma. The two formed an instant bond, with Rachel becoming Emma's regular caregiver. In fact, Emma grew so attached that she called all her other babysitters by Rachel's name during a brief period when Rachel was unavailable. One fateful night, after putting Emma to bed, Rachel was relaxing on the couch in the living room at around 10:30 p.m. The house had an open floor plan, with the living room, dining room and kitchen flowing into each other. A doorway connected this space to a hallway leading to Emma's room on one end and her parents' bedroom with an adjoining bathroom on the other. As Rachel channel surfed, she suddenly heard the unmistakable sound of small feet pattering down the hallway towards the bathroom. Assuming Emma had gotten up to use the toilet, Rachel waited for the usual flush, but it never came. Minutes later, the footsteps returned, heading back to Emma's room. Rachel began to call out, reminding her to flush, but her voice died in her throat as she caught a glimpse of black hair disappearing past the doorway. Emma was blonde. Heart racing, Rachel rushed to Emma's room and threw open the door. The little girl sat up in bed, rubbing her eyes as if just awoken from her sleep, confused by Rachel's panicked expression. When asked, Emma insisted she hadn't got up to use the bathroom. Rachel scoured the bedroom, checking every possible hiding spot for an intruder, but found nothing. Trying to stay calm, she tucked Emma back in, assuring her she was just double-checking for monsters. As Rachel went to leave the room, she heard Emma's voice and turned back, expecting a question or request. But the words that came from the little girl's mouth sent chills down Rachel's spine. "You should have said something. Don't scare her. I really like her." From that night forward, Rachel made a point to include the unseen girl in their activities, even setting an extra place when Emma drew pictures. It seemed to please the spectral child, and no further scares occurred. But the question remained, who was this dark-haired girl? Was she a child who had met an untimely end, seeking a friend from beyond the grave? Rachel never found out, but she couldn't shake the feeling that she'd been entrusted with not one, but two little girls to look after in that house. Guiding him home. In October 2017, Lily's world shattered when her husband passed away unexpectedly while she was 7 weeks pregnant with their child. The last day of his life started like any other, Lily rushing off to work, the couple exchanging texts about his upcoming phone interview and his routine complaints of leg pain. She called to check on him after his visit to the pharmacy for painkillers, but he didn't pick up. Hours of unanswered calls later, a woman from the sheriff's department finally answered his phone, requesting Lily to come home immediately. Fearing her husband was in legal trouble, Lily raced back home from her job working at a nearby prison, breaking every speed limit. But as she pulled into their parking garage, the sight of a white van emblazoned with the word coroner made her blood run cold. A female officer met Lily outside her home, blocking the doorway. She gently explained that Lily's husband had suffered a fatal heart attack caused by a pulmonary embolism shortly after returning from the pharmacy. Neighbours had heard his screams and called 911, but with all the doors and windows locked, first responders couldn't enter in time to save him. Reeling from shock and grief, Lily moved in with her parents. Desperate for closure, she agreed to a cleansing ceremony and card reading performed by a friend's mother. The woman revealed that Lily's husband's soul was currently reliving every moment of his life, a journey undertaken by all spirits after death as a means of reflection. However, due to the suddenness of his passing, she explained, Lily's husband didn't yet realise he had died. It would fall to Lily to help him cross over when the time came. Months later, Lily was lying on her parents' couch when a heaviness overtook her body, paralysis creeping into her limbs. As she fought to open her eyes, she saw her husband sitting before her, as real and solid as the day he died. He began talking about the job interview, his voice brimming with excitement and nerves. Tears streaming down her face, Lily forced herself to break the awful truth. "Baby, I'm so sorry. Do you remember the pain in your leg? You had blood clots. One reached your lungs. You had a heart attack. You didn't make it to the job interview. You died." She watched the confusion in his eyes give way to slow, shattering realisation. Lily whispered words of love and apology, pleading with him to respond, but he remained silent, his expression unreadable. Then, as abruptly as it began, the vision ended. Lily jolted awake, to find one of the kitchen chairs inexplicably placed directly in front of the couch, empty. Her husband never appeared in her dreams again, a fact she chose to interpret as proof that their final conversation had granted him the peace he needed to move on. Incredibly, 5 years later, the son Lily was carrying at the time of her husband's death spins fantastical stories of a father he never met, describing things he couldn't possibly know. Though the pain of loss still aches, the dream brought Lily solace, a sign that the man she loved is never far, watching over his family from a realm beyond the living. Losing her husband was Lily's first brush with death, but it also opened her eyes and her heart to the existence of an afterlife, to the unbreakable bonds that transcend the boundary between this world and the next. Her husband may be gone from this earth, but she knows he is still with her, and that one day they will be together again.